Hi everybody, I'm back. I took a lovely week off. I know y'all thought y'all got rid of my big-headed ass, but here I am back. So today I wanted to bring Mr. Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia, to the imaginary dinner table. And I made him something pretty nice. I made him some lamb chops with some sauteed spinach and mashed potatoes with a white wine reduction. But I made him lamb for a reason. So I want to tackle these voting laws that everybody in Georgia is freaking out about. And this is one of the few times where I'm like, the media really does try to scare people. So if we all think about it, I know nobody wants to go back to the time of the election for the presidential election or the Senate race. However, if you really think about most of the Republican ads, what did they try to do? They try to scare you. Like, that's kind of how the Republican Party is running right now. Like, they're trying to instill fear. And I really genuinely think that most of these voting laws are just trying to instill fear in us. So I actually went to a website to actually get kind of a rundown of all of the voting laws. So, or all of the changes to the voting laws. So I made sure I took my bullet points so I wouldn't forget anything. So first, the voter ID card. And this is the one that kind of irritated me the most because I'm just like, what? I was like, so you have to go get a card, and if you have to run off, you have to go get another one? No. So they do require a voter ID card, but in the event that you don't have your voter ID card, your driver's license number or state ID number is acceptable. The last four digits of your social security card is also acceptable. And if you don't have either one of those two things, then a utility bill becomes acceptable as a form of identification for voting. Now, my thing is, like, you have to ID for lots of things, for alcohol, for, buying a house, for getting a bank account, for setting up your utilities, for getting a driver's license. So it's just like, this whole ID thing is kind of, it's being worked up more than it really needs to be. Next, absentee ballots. So, absentee ballots before Saturday, we had 180 days to request an absentee ballot. That is 6 months, people. 6 months. I mean, if you're really undecided, like, that's too much time to even, gather who you even want to vote for. So now it's shortened down to 78 days, which is 2.5 months. Like, if you can't get your absentee ballot in or just request it, then, I mean, it's not that serious. Next, on to early voting. Now, early voting, I believe they cut it by a week. However, they added Saturdays and Sundays. Now, this is the kind of funny part about this particular piece is it actually trickles down to the counties. So it's decided by county whether they want to allow weekend early voting or not. But at the end of the day, weekend voting for early voting is definitely a plus. This is the one thing I will say about this new legislation that is actually a plus. Then the runoff. Now, this is just bad overall. They shorten the amount of time that you run off. But anybody who, follows elections knows that the percentage drops drastically from the general election to when there's a runoff. Now, actually, back to the absentee ballot. Like, we're still in a pandemic. So obviously a lot of people requested an absentee ballot. However, like, once we get back to normal by the next senator or gubernatorial race or presidential race, like, we'll be out of this pandemic. And I mean, there's not that many people that are really going to request absentee ballots. They said Georgia had 9,000 overseas, like, military people or overseas residents. And then, of course, so this is the funny part. This is the part where I think they tried to get a little sneaky. So now they're taking the power out of the state, State Board of Elections, like, state representative. His name is Brad Raffensperger. And now they're putting it to a special counsel. I can't exactly remember if it was voted in or if it was appointed. And if, something seems awry, then they can appoint someone else. But I really genuinely think that these voting laws were brought in to scare people. Like, that's exactly what the Republican Party has been running on for so long, and that's exactly what they're going to try to do now, is that they're going to try to discourage people from voting and and think that there's more loopholes than it is. So everybody just learn the laws and find a way to make sure you vote. So that is exactly why I made lamb for Mr. Brian Kemp, because I don't want anybody out there to be a lamb. I need y'all to be a lion, and no matter what, go out there and vote. Okay? Do not let any of these laws stop you from voting. They're doing a lot of this in a lot of cities. I'm pretty shocked that Georgia got such a spotlight on it. In my hometown of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in the state of Wisconsin, they shut down 167 voting polls, and this was before the presidential election. Wyoming also recently changed their voting laws as well. But overall, I don't agree with any of these changes to the voting laws. However, I really genuinely think that most of this is a scare tactic to get people to not want to vote. So don't be a lamb, a delicious lamb. Be a lion. Go vote. Okay? Bye.